Hi, guys. Welcome back to Old People, the podcast. I'm Nadia Nicole, your host, and we're in season 2 of Old People, the podcast, a place where wisdom meets laughter, and we honor the beauty, challenges, and story of aging. Today, we are finally kicking off season 2. That's right, season 2 of an incredible episode. We're focused on the benefits of aging in place. This episode is going to be life-changing. Trust me, you want to tune in. But before we dive into that, let me introduce myself. All right, guys, I just want to tell you a little bit about who I am. My name is Nadia, and my middle name actually is Nicole. So my host name is Nadia Nicole. I am a daughter. I have loving parents who are still with me. I have a beautiful 2-year-old daughter. I am a community advocate. I love to create things such as this podcast. I am the proud founder of Old People, the podcast, and I'm originally from Raleigh, North Carolina. Yes, I am originally from Raleigh, North Carolina. All the people who are moving here, I can say that I was here first. And I started this podcast because I saw how much wisdom, humor, and life our elders carry, and how often it's overlooked. When they're gone, so is the wisdom, so is the humor, and so are the stories. And my hobbies include storytelling. So I want to capture those stories. I want to be able to get resources from, information on resources from community advocates and provide them to our seniors and their loved ones. I enjoy playing cards with my family. I enjoy cooking with my family, my mom, especially on Sundays. So that's a little bit about me. But my goal, which is the main reason why we're here, is to create a space where aging isn't something we fear, it's something we celebrate. And with that in mind, I'm going to go right ahead into this episode's topic and introduce our amazing guest today. All right. Today's topic is a powerful one. We're talking about the benefits of aging in place. That is the ability for older adults to remain safely and comfortably in their own homes as they grow older. Today, we're going to explore why this is so important, okay? So I'm thrilled to welcome Jacqueline Bell. She is the founder and owner of Mary's Angels Home Care. It's actually operated right here out of Raleigh, North Carolina. It's an amazing, respected in-home care agency that help seniors remain independent with dignity and support. All right, so stick around. After this break, we'll share today's senior moment and then dive into the inspiring conversation with Miss Jacqueline. All right, here we go.
At Mary's Angels Home Care Services, we believe that everyone deserves to feel safe and cared for in their own home. Our compassionate team provides non-medical in-home care, ensuring your loved ones receive the support they need while maintaining their independence. Companionship, 24-hour care, and respite services. Each individual service is tailored to fit your needs because every moment matters and every smile counts. Contact Mary's Angels Home Care Services today. Let us help you create a loving and supportive environment at home.
All right, guys. Thank you for sticking around with us on that commercial break. Our sponsor for this episode is Mary's Angels Home Care, quality care from the heart, right where you belong. And this is an amazing moment to go ahead and introduce my guest, Miss Jacqueline Bell. Good afternoon.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing good. I'm so excited that you're here and you get to tell your story.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, Miss Nadia Nicole.
Yes, ma'am. So we're going to do our little fun senior moment, which we've been doing since season 1. It's a moment that we share a story, a fun game. We share a recipe, a card that we have, even trivia with our guests, which is usually a little fun segment. So this segment, we are doing Do You Remember? It's funny because I'm laughing because it's so many things that I do remember that aren't here. And I think the biggest one was I remember when there was a time without the internet. That's probably the biggest one, right? But let's just throw it right out there. I'm gonna tell you what I remember, and then I'll ask you, Miss Jacqueline, what's something that you remember. Let's throw it back to phone cords and rotary dials. Do y'all remember when the entire house had to be silent so grandma could talk on the phone? And if you had siblings, you raced to grab the phone before anyone else could answer? Those were the original call waiting battles. I can remember waiting for, a boy to call, and no boy don't supposed to be calling my house.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
You got to sit by the phone and make sure that you get it before my mama get it, before my daddy get it, before my brothers get it. So what's something you remember?
Oh gosh. I'm telling my age with this one. Like I said, 8-track tapes. And I say 8-track tapes because that was a fond memory for me because that was back when my dad was here, you know. So we live in Brooklyn. Is a street called Atlantic Avenue. So on Atlantic Avenue, they used to have people that used to sell 8-track tapes. So my dad used to go on Atlantic Avenue, buy these 8-track tapes. And then he used to have these little, they were like poodles, but they were air fresheners. So they sold 8-track tapes and air fresheners. So that was a fond memory because it kind of brings me back to when my dad was here, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and those road trips.
Absolutely. And since 8-track has been cassette player.
Yeah. It done evolved so much.
Yes, CD players. Then remember there was what was it?
Walkman.
The Walkman, the CD players. And now
MP3.
Right. Yeah. That's what I was trying to think of. The MP3 player. Now they don't have any of that. All they got is your phone. You got to have an app.
And then a playlist.
And that's it. Yeah. And that is it. Well, if you got a memory like that, tag us on social media at oldpeople_the podcast and share it. Of course, we're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you like, we're there. All right. So we're going to jump right into this interview. I'm completely excited about it. Miss Jacqueline is not just a business associate of mine. She's a friend. I know, her for years, and she's always, done business, but she's done it in a different capacity. So when life happens and you start to see things and, God places you to do something else, you start to pivot. And I've seen that for her. So I'm excited to be here today with her for her to share her story. So Miss Jacqueline, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to start Mary's Angels Home Care?
My name is Jacqueline. A lot of people just call me Jackie. I started my journey back in 2007. What I did residential care for adolescents with behavioral and mental health diagnoses. So what made me pivot was my mom. She was going through dementia. And it was a type of thing where I tried to keep her in the house, and I had to make the difficult decision to put my mom in an assisted living facility. My mom lasted 4 months. 4 months. Unfortunately, she passed away due to the negligence of the facility. And I vowed from that point on that I would create a home care that would send out qualified, compassionate staff that can care for people in their home. I honestly believe after going through that people can live longer if they can live in place, live in their familiar surroundings, and be cared for like one-on-one, not being neglected by a large facility where you have one RN or one PCA to 20 to 30 clients. There's no way you can get personalized care. So in my mom's legacy, that's why I created Mary's Angels Home Care Services. And that's what we stand for. We're bridging the gap between care and compassion.
Absolutely. Was your mom's name Mary?
My mom's name was Mary.
Oh, wow. My condolences.
Thank you.
That's definitely something to change your life.
Yeah, it's a life changer. And, unfortunately, my mom had to go through this for me to, look at things differently, because at the time I felt like I handed my mom to the wolves, in hindsight. If I knew that I can get some care in home, I didn't really know a lot of those resources. And, but I know now.
Right. Absolutely.
So if I couldn't help my mom, but I'm going to help someone else's family,
Absolutely.
not having to go through that.
Absolutely. And that brings us into, what does aging in place mean to you? Not just professionally, but personally as well.
Yeah, I mean, just having someone age in place is like they'll be able to keep their dignity. They're staying in familiar territory. They're getting someone to come out and assist them. And like I said, opposed to being number 15 on the list, or do I get a shower today and stuff like that. So aging in place is really like, you know, allowing someone to die, or the end of their life. And I apologize for saying die, but to when you get to that end stage of life, I feel like everything my mother had or who she represented was stripped away when she went into the nursing home.
Absolutely. It's so sad that I've heard and met people who they whole life they took care of other people, and they're in the situation to be taken care of, and they aren't. They don't have quality care.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What are some of the most common concerns families have when deciding whether their loved ones can stay at home? What was a changing point for you?
Well, for me, it was like I said, my mother had dementia. She was showing signs of it probably like a year before, a year and a half before. So I brought my mother home with me. So we gradually progressed. She was getting a lot of agitation and, some, I would guess, confusion. And then she would walk out the door, and stuff like that. So I had to put things in front of the door to deter her from leaving and those type of things. But I just feel like if you have a one-on-one with someone,
Mm-hmm.
they can, negate a lot of that stuff. You'll
Right.
have, I had to do my life schedule around my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, she went to adult day, centers and stuff like that. But I just felt like if I had the additional support, that my mom would possibly still be here.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you think that there was ever like a moment, a a pinnacle of a moment where you was like basically, you know, she needs a different level of care? Was there an event that happened that caused you to say, this requires additional support, and you thought that you were doing the right thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually on my way to take my mom to the day center, and we were at the gas station. And I went inside, paid for gas, came back out. Me and her had snacks, and she just totally, lost it, basically. She started crying, and the people from the store came outside. It was like, ma'am, how can we help you?
Right.
And she just kept saying, I need help, I need help. And they were looking at me, and I was just crying, you know. And at that moment, they said, ma'am, how can we help you?
Right.
So we called the ambulance. The ambulance took my mom, and I just felt like I was lost. I had no one else to help me. I was
Absolutely.
doing all this by myself. I do have siblings, but sometimes you don't get that support,
Right.
or
Absolutely.
everyone has their life they're living.
Right.
So there's always someone, that one person in the family is going to be that primary caregiver.
Right.
So after going to the hospital, it was a decision that my siblings and myself made. I just felt like I was crying because I wanted them to help me.
Right.
And I believe if I had some additional help, we wouldn't have had to put my mom in a assisted living facility.
Right.
We could have shared that responsibility, but a lot of it was put on me because she was living with me for like 2 years,
Right.
And sometimes people don't, look at what you might be going through until that actual moment is when I got the attention of my siblings. But at that point, I had broke down to the minimal. There was nothing else I can do. I was just like, if I can't get help from a sibling, I didn't even think about bringing another caregiver into my home.
Right.
I just felt like my mom took care of us for our whole life. We owe this to her.
Right.
And I just feel like guilty because I feel like I handed her to the wolves.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
But there are situations, and I'm just trying to choose my words carefully, where you had no clue that you wouldn't have guessed this in a million years.
A million years.
That would have been the outcome, and how it happened fast, and the situation that happened, but unfortunately, sometimes, home care, home health, having a home, having a daughter is not even an option, for some of our seniors. And, having the assisted living and the independent living in, the CCRM facilities, there are some great ones, and I'm sorry that you had to experience what you had to experience at that one. There are some great ones that, they truly put quality care into their residents. And then you have situations, where unfortunately, Miss Mary, it wasn't the first. And, we're trying to do all that we can to be advocates, so it can decrease, and we want to make it known that these things are happening. Go to Medicare.gov, look at the ratings on these senior care facilities.
Yeah. And then also, Mary's Angels, actually, we have PCA caregivers to whereas if your loved one is and, staying home is not an option, we can send someone out to the assisted living facility for that additional support.
Absolutely.
So you can have your own personal person that's going to go out to those facilities and make sure your mom or your dad or sibling is being treated properly and they have that one-on-one. So it doesn't always have to be just aging in place at home. It could be to whereas maybe they don't have that option to be at home, we still could send someone into the facility.
Absolutely. Having that sitter service, and this is sitter services, even in assisted living, memory care, is very important because they are they're caring for the resident, the loved one, but they also communicate with the family. So anything that's going on, with that resident at that facility, they're able to communicate that. They're able to monitor them. They're able to provide them with the fall risk prevention, which is really, really high in assisted and independent living homes. They're able to do that, incontinent care, making sure that they're dry, keeping their skin integrity. Those things are important. And not to say that these facilities are not doing that. They are not able to provide that one-on-one assistance. So having, an agency like Mary's Angels to be that filter, but for the family, the additional support is really needed, and is something that we as people should think about when we are transitioning our loved ones to these assisted and independent living homes, even if it's not, long term, even if it's temporary, to get them adjusted to a new environment. It's healthy to have someone that they feel that is there for them. And that leads me into the next question I was going to ask. What role does home care play in helping seniors remain independent? Because I do understand that home care and home health is different. So what does home care do at Mary's Angels that would benefit our seniors?
Well, home care, we have a plethora of services. We from respite services. We assist with light cleaning, laundry services, helping the person get dressed or helping pick out, clothing. We don't give medication, but we give medication reminders. So if you have someone, because it's like my mom, when she was in the early stages of dementia, and you go to her house, all her medicine was kind of just thrown in one. So I'm like, how could you even know what are you supposed to be taking?
Right.
So, and sometimes she didn't even take her medicine.
Right.
So,
Right.
I just seen it firsthand.
Right.
So,
yeah, those medication reminders are important.
Very important, because if you have medication, obviously you need it for something or another. So the medication reminders, laundry services, light housekeeping, we do it all. We have just services that is going to assist the person meal prepping, making sure that they get their food intake. So it is definitely a needed service.
Absolutely.
If it wasn't, it wouldn't be such a thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Reminding them to eat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Reminding them to drink. We think that those, mom, grandma's at home. She's good, she's living, and you go and visit and you see the condition that grandma's in or your mom is in, and the kitchen hasn't been cleaned.
Right.
And,
Dishes
they
in
have
the
the same
sink
comforter, set since forever.
Right.
And, laundry's
just
backed
those
up.
little things make a
Yeah.
big difference.
A
you
huge
know?
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, even someone to assess their home to see,
For prevention,
Yes,
is
yes.
it blocked doorways where they could potentially fall over it, something and break the hip or a leg or, something like that. So, having someone in the home, it definitely, helps.
Absolutely. And I wanted to ask this as well, and just your personal opinion as well, and what you see. How can families tell when it's time to get that support in the home?
Well, from my experience, when we just kind of, if you pay attention to, your family member, you'll start seeing them slow down on things that, on the ADLs, things that, you know, showering, forgetting to take their medications, or their behaviors are starting to change. If you're in tune with your loved one, you should be able to recognize when there's been a shift in behaviors.
Absolutely.
And at that point is when I would say it's time to start, having those uncomfortable conversations.
And what I'm learning also is before a person even gets to that point, we should be now doing those directives, putting things in place, hey, if I get dementia, what do I want to do? Do I want to stay with the family member? Do I want to get in home
Because
care?
it should be their,
absolutely
their wish
their
as
choice.
well. Yeah.
Exactly. Because we don't think about these things until it happens, but it's very important for us to have these hard discussions, like you said, with our family members, to be proactive, to set, these things up ahead of time. Having those conversations with your parents, say, do you guys want to be in the home? Is assistant living an option? Do you want to get care? Is there a long-term care policy? Are we going to tap into life insurance? Like, what is the plan? So you don't have to have your kids figure it out for you along the way to make it much better for, the quality of their life as well as ours, and each one who does that. This has been a really, really, really good conversation.
I totally agree. And it's needed,
absolutely.
And everybody out there, someone's going to resonate with this here session, because
absolutely.
I just feel someone out there needs this.
Absolutely.
Because they may be going through the same thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I sit here and I think about my dad, and, he's of age where we're trying to figure out, are you going to age in place, or, would assistant living be better because he's an independent right now with help in the home, but sometimes there's things that home health can't do. We just discussed, we home care does the medication management, but it may be a point where they may have to get their medication administered, or, they're on a different type of medicine, infusion or something like that. So it's definitely something that, I'm definitely thinking about as well as we have the discussion in regards to my own parents.
Right.
Did you have any other questions you wanted to ask me, or anything you wanted to discuss, or anything you want to say?
No, I just want to thank you for having me here to share Mary's Angels with you guys. And if anyone out there needs services, and we cover 12 counties here in North Carolina, and just getting the word out. And I appreciate you giving me the platform to do that.
Absolutely. And we're going to go right into our resource segment on that. We're going to run right into our resource segment. Of course, we do a resource segment every episode, guys. Nothing has changed. Anything I know, I'm going to let you guys know. We do have our resource segment. If you or a loved one is exploring aging in place, here are a few helpful resources. I did, of course, put down Mary's Angels Home Care. Visit www.marysangelsHomecare.org for in-home support consultations. Are your consultations at free of no charge? Or
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect, guys. So you can get that education and information from Mary's Angels website. I also put in here local area agencies on aging. They offer help with transportation, meals, and home safety. Just about every county should have an aging agency in their area. Wake County does. Johnson County does as well. So definitely follow up with your local area agencies on aging. And then lastly, we cannot forget about AARP, guys. AARP has the Home Fit Guide, which is a free home safety checklist for aging in place. It's really good to have these resources and tools that could help us assess ourselves or our loved ones, their homes, something as simple as, a rail or, a ramp that can make their lives much, 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 much more better. All right. So we're going to get into another commercial break. And of course, it is again sponsored by Mary's Angels Home Care, offering personalized support wherever you call home. And we'll be right back.
At Mary's Angels Home Care Services, we believe that everyone deserves to feel safe and cared for in their own home. Our compassionate team provides non-medical in-home care, ensuring your loved ones receive the support they need while maintaining their independence. Companionship, 24-hour care, and respite services. Each individual service is tailored to fit your needs, because every moment matters and every smile counts. Contact Mary's Angels Home Care Services today. Let us help you create a loving and supportive environment at home.
All right, guys, welcome back. I really appreciate you guys for listening in on this episode. We keep it short, we keep it to the point, and we keep it focused on our seniors. I'm going to go out with our closing. As always, thank you so much for tuning into Old People, the podcast. We are deeply honored to share space with you. Aging in place isn't just about staying in a house. It's about staying rooted in familiarity, love, and dignity. And I hope I said that right. Familiarity. Yeah, there you go. I can never say that word. But don't forget to follow us, like, and subscribe. We're on Instagram at oldpeople_the podcast. We're on Facebook, of course, Old People the Podcast. And we stream on all platforms that have podcasts, especially Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We do, of course, on every episode, close out with a quote of gratitude by our guests. So followed by this last last thing I'm going to say, you will hear Miss Jackie closing in on our quote of gratitude. I do absolutely want to dedicate this show to my grandma Peggy. She passed away on today, but I did not want to stop the show, and she is a reason why I do what I do. So this full episode is dedicated to Grandma Peggy.
Home is not just a place, it's a feeling. And aging with grace should always begin where your heart feels safest. Author unknown.
And that's cut.